Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another weekend review show here on Cluiche with me, Seamus Brady, your host, and I'm joined once again by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. Matthew, this weekend it went from being, in the formative stages to actually some, how could I call it, some closure for certain teams. Derry, of course, confirmed as relegated. Leitrim confirmed relegated. They've had plenty of big results over the weekend. What do you make of it?
Yeah, some interesting storylines, of course. Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Seamus. Yeah, but the thing is as well, we're in this kind of weird stage where there's 14 definitive places in terms of promotion, finalists, relegation, and only four of those are 100% confirmed. Wexford being promoted, Leitrim being relegated from Division 3, Westmeath being relegated from Division 2, and Derry being relegated from Division 1. Everything else is up for grabs, and that's what makes this league campaign so enthralling in more ways than one. Like, even look at Division 2, there's places for Sam Maguire up for grabs as well, considering the draws in Leinster and considering the draws in Munster particularly. So yeah, a lot of stuff up for grabs, a lot of shocks along the way as well. So yeah, really odd football this weekend. There was only one real hurling, and to be honest, the hurling game showed us a real story as well. With Kilkenny beating Limerick, I did not expect to see that coming. But yeah, some good results over the weekend, maybe shocking results here and there. But yeah, looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, me too. We'll start off with a couple of comments in here. NIOB says, "Hi there, lads. Good to see you back on another show, Nerb." I'll just call you Nerb in the future instead of saying NIOB. How would you prefer me to pronounce it? Sean O'Malley here says, "Best Division 1 ever." I would agree. I think it's been certainly pretty good. I do think Monaghan are a bit of a miss from Division 1. Definitely the drama that Monaghan tend to bring. Liam White here says, "Looking forward to another great show." Thank you very much, Liam. Liam, obviously, regular guest on the show as well. Looking forward to getting you on for another one. But just for this one, it's, of course, myself and Matthew. Someone said we go together like salt and pepper, Matthew, would you believe? So I can't remember exactly what it was, but we'll jump in and see if that comparison still stands. We'll jump in with the big ball. Alliance Football League, Division 1 Round 6. And we'll start off with the game, which obviously, as we were saying at the beginning of the show, had some consequences to it. Derry 117, Mayo 219, and this was important to Gaelic. So Derry had home advantage for this one, yet Mayo ran out fairly comfortable winners in the end. I think the first half there was definitely evidence that Derry were going to really put it up to Mayo, and it was anybody's game. Once Mayo got the second goal from Frank Irwin, I felt like this game was done.
Yeah, it was a kind of a difficult day to take from a Derry point of view, going back down after winning the league last year. I suppose it is difficult. Like, I've heard on Twitter now, I was at the Cork game, so I didn't see much of this, but I was seeing on Twitter that some Derry fans are complaining that Mickey Hart ruined them last year. Now Paddy Tally ruins them. That's basically the Tyrone and Derry kind of rivalry. But having looked at news bulletins and things like that, I did watch a bit of the news coming down from Cork as well, and it seemed like the goal of the stroke of half time from Mayo and on the buzzer from Jordan Flynn kind of decided this game in many ways. It was level up until that point, and then Flynn gets that goal, and then Mayo start to kickstart our challenge. But you have to give Mayo a lot of credit. A few weeks into the season, into the Alliance League, they looked very, very much on the ropes in terms of relegation. But now they're kind of looking upward now, because you look at their next game against Donegal. I'm sure we'll talk about Donegal and Jim McGuinness's kind of attitude towards the league in a sec, but Mayo, like, they'll be looking at a league final now, which you wouldn't have said a few weeks ago. Certainly not any of us, myself, yourself, Aaron, probably Liam as well, who probably all predicted Mayo to get relegated at the start of the season. And look at them now, like, they're really on the cusp of a league final, and fair play to them for that. As for Derry, look, they've had some bright sparks, including the first half of this game, including nearly the whole of the Donegal game, but it's a results business, really, and they look to be they are on a one-way ticket back to Division 2. It's a difficult kind of time for them, but they have to get themselves back up in the horse now. They've Armagh next in the league, which is pretty much a nothing game for them. They could kind of rest a few players, which is kind of maybe a positive for them before they go into that battle against Donegal in the Ulster Championship in a few weeks' time. So yeah, maybe that's a silver lining for Derry in many ways, but yeah, Mayo absolutely deserved the victory. And you look at scores like Run, I don't know who with 8 points, Frank Irwin 1-1, Jordan Flynn a goal, Matty Varan got 6 points according to Scorpio, which was a very, very good tally as well. So yeah, brilliant day at the office for Mayo, and they're looking up rather than looking down, and I think every Mayo fan would absolutely love to see that.
Certainly. We have a couple of comments flying in here. Sean O'Malley says Monaghan and Roscommon will bring a lot next year with the new rules. I think it'll be interesting to see if Roscommon even do go up at this stage. Cavan beat them this weekend, which is one of the results of the weekend. Sean O'Malley also says when Derry lost to Donegal last year, it felt like when Ireland lost to England in the 2019 Six Nations. Both were in great form, but when they were shown up and found out, it sent them back at least 2 years. I do agree. I think that Donegal defeat, that felt like the one thing that I was just comparing it to constantly was, if anybody here is a boxing fan, watching Anthony Joshua lose to Daniel Dubois, it felt like that in terms of like that it was just knockout blow after knockout blow. And all of a sudden it was like watching a team that you thought was imperious just get ripped apart. And especially when Jamie Brennan got the 4th goal, it was really like, holy shit, like what, like this is something at the start of the year I never thought I would have seen happen. I thought maybe Donegal would have been a good stylistic matchup for them, but I never thought it would have gone like that. And look, I think that they're still fighting, there's no question, they're still battling. I felt like the last third of this game, I think that they knew the jig was up, if I'm being 100% like Conor Glass was outstanding. He kicked some unbelievable scores and he was really trying to drag them along with him, but Mayo just kind of had a little bit too much for them. And one word as well, we have to give massive props to Matthew Ran. I'm going to come back to Matthew Ran, just going to read the 3 comments here first. Acers, good to have you back, man, says Nicky Quaid and Kyle Hayes, big losses for Limerick yesterday, poor performance. Jack Nolte says Kerry improving. Yeah, Kerry had a very good win against Armagh, we'll come to that. And Aces again says Tipperary versus Cork league final. Matthew, one word, yes or no?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so, yeah.
And then Liam White here says, got to give credit to Mayo for the rest. I agree. I think if you look at this game, I just feel like Derry went into it wanting to give it everything that they had. And they really did battle hard in the first half. And then Jordan Flynn gets that goal right on the stroke of half, like to finish the half, which it was a great showcasing for how brilliant the final play could be. Could you imagine if that goal went in from Flynn as like the last score of the game? Imagine the carnage. But yeah, also, I just feel like when Flynn got his goal at halftime, it was very much right, you know, this is it, win or bust. Once Frank Irwin got his goal, I think Derry kind of knew the jig was up. And also, bringing it back to what I said before I read the comments, Matthew Ran's performance was sensational. 6 points from play from midfield. This guy is a Rolls Royce of a midfielder. And he was talked up a lot, especially when Mayo were winning the league in 2023. He was talked up a lot as potentially the best midfielder in the country at the time that Brian Fenton was still playing. Just how good is Matthew Ran?
He's a colossal player, and to be honest with you, if Mayo did finish the job and won the All Ireland in 2021, he probably would have been up there in terms of a Player of the Year discussion. Like he's that good. He's a really, really talented player, not just for his county, but his club in Bravey as well. He's a very, very good player. He outshines the likes of the O'Shea's, which is a very hard thing to do in club level football for them. But yeah, he's a really good footballer. He's probably been one of Mayo's most consistent players over the last few seasons. He's a very, very talented footballer, not just, attack-wise, but he works hard in the middle of the park as well, which is the obvious job in terms of getting the ball in the middle of the field. So yeah, he's an excellent footballer and scored 6 points today. I know Mayo were probably over the hills and far away. It's some parts of it, today, but still to put up that performance, score 6 points from midfield on any is an exceptional tally, and you have to give him a lot of credit for that. And he's been probably one of the leaders of this Mayo team in the first few weeks, given that the exodus of players like Pádraig O'Hare, for example. Kenny O'Connor has taken a year out as well. Aidan O'Shea hasn't played all the games for Mayo so far in the league this season either. So he has really had to step up Matthew Moran, and he definitely has. Like he has, in fairness, he's taken the game by the scruff of the neck, along with many Mayo players. Ryan O'Donoghue, who's another major example of that, and Stephen Coney's midfield partner as well. So those sorts of Mayo players provided a big role in the last few weeks when Mayo were kind of down in the dumps after 2 rounds in the Alliance League, but they've found form at the right time, which is a good sign from a Mayo point of view. And he's an excellent footballer.
No, he certainly is. We have more comments in here. Liam White meant to say, got to give credit to Mayo for the results away to Ulster sides. Yes, they certainly have picked up some big wins. Acers here said Galway played well against Dublin yesterday. I do think that game was really, really good. We're going to obviously get into that one as well. Jack Nutty says about Matthew Ruan, he was brilliant. Sean O'Malley says, any word on Tommy Conroy? All I heard was that he was just out for this one. I don't know if it's a serious injury or anything like that. And then Acer says Cork should beat Galway next weekend. I think if Cork are wanting to get into a league final, if they're wanting to capture silverware, that's a game that they should be winning, especially seeing how teams like Limerick dispatched it. That's the level that Cork need to be at. So that's a game that they need to win. So for Derry, all in all, their league campaign, to me, it just constantly felt like they were trying to be what they were last year, if you get what I mean. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but the players are all still there with the exception of Chrissy McCaig. They are fighting in every single game that they played in. You could make arguments that they kind of fell off in the Dublin game and the Mayo games. I think there's a good case for that. But in all the other ones, they fought tooth and nail to the bitter end. There was just something missing that I can't quite put my finger on it. And like, my personal thing is, I think that they truly believed last season. I think they truly believed that they were the best team in Ireland. I think they truly believed that they were going to win in All-Ireland, and that was what was in store for them if they just kept on the track. And Mickey Hart was just going to be a year where he comes in, wins the All-Ireland and dips. And once the Donegal game went the way that it did, I really think that had a psychological impact on them as well. I just feel like that was a knockout blow. They really, really struggled to bounce back from that. And it's like they've trying to been stumbling back to their feet ever since that defeat happened. And look, I wouldn't write them off completely. I think they're well capable of winning the Ulster Championship. They're well capable of being dark horses for the All-Ireland, but I wouldn't put them in the same bracket right now as I would put Donegal, Galway, etc. I think they are just a little bit off that. But what would you say if you're recapping their league campaign, now where it went wrong for Derry? Where would you put it?
Maybe not enough players stepping up for them. Like even look at the score sheet against Mayo today. Conor Glass 8 points, Shane McGuigan 4 points. That's only 1-5 without their 2 main men. That isn't really enough to go on and win games. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it because, like, I watched Derry against Donegal last week, and I thought, okay, by the looks of the results, they might be a team in turmoil. There might be a few problems around the pitch. There might be a problem with Paddy Tally on the sideline. But I looked at that Donegal team and I thought, this side aren't that bad. They're still playing some good football. They are playing along the lines. Conor Glass is still excelling. Shane McGuigan's still playing well up front. You have Lachlan Murray, who did well in that particular game against Donegal. Maybe didn't do so. I don't think he actually played today. But like, Derry looked good and in the last few weeks. So that's why it's so hard to pinpoint where it actually went wrong. Mm-hmm. I think it's easy enough to say this in hindsight, but maybe just the other 7 teams are better than them at the moment. I know that's a simplistic kind of way to say it, but like,
no, that is a great point. That is a great point, because what I was saying at the start of the year is what I truly believe to this day. I still think that the top 8 teams in the country, I think you could definitely make an argument for Monaghan seeing the form that they're in right now. And you can make an argument for Roscommon and Meath as well, I think. But I think when you look at the top 8 teams in the country now, there's a very good case that the top 8 teams in the country are in Division 1. And over the last few years, we've had somebody who seems to be the whipping boy of the league. That seems to go down, with 0 wins out of their 7 games or 1 win out of their 7 games, everything like that. And albeit Derry have ended up in that position this season. They have been competitive in all of their games. It's not like when Meath came up in 2019, it was far too early and everybody beat them and they went back down. It's not like when Donegal fell apart under Paddy Carr and they were just an easy 2 points for everybody in the division from that point on. Derry were fighting in every single game, and their performance levels in games against Donegal, for example, against Kerry, against Tyrone, no, maybe not Tyrone actually, but they would have been good enough against Galway is a perfect term. It would have been good enough to beat teams that are not as good as the teams that they were playing against. But it just, that's the way that it was. And look, they're unfortunate in terms of, you know, they're not as bad as the position that they've ended up in, but the league table doesn't lie. And the fact is that they haven't got over the line in games where they might have been able to. And I think they should go out on the last day of the league and give everything that they got, because you wouldn't want to go down with 0 from 7. That would be a bad way to go into a potential Ulster Championship clash against a Donegal team who might just have won the league. It's really, really hard to put that into perspective. It could be a complete role reverse of last season. Sean O'Malley here says Mickey Hart was a Jose Mourinho / Conte signing and it backfired. I do agree. I think they were trying to cash in on the team that they had, and they thought, this is the moment, we got to go for it now. Whatever we think about Mickey Hart with Tyrone, he can win us in all, and he can be the X factor. And the reality is that he just wasn't given enough rope. The minute it hit turbulence, it all fell apart. Jack Nulty here says, can't figure Kildare out. We're going to come to that, Jack, believe you me. Moving on then to the next game. So Derry are relegated. Mayo are looking up the table at promotion. And speaking of up the table, we're moving up the table. Donegal losing this one by 7 points to Tyrone in O'Donnell Park. Big win for Tyrone. Big win for Tyrone, because, I mean, their backs are firmly against the wall. They're going away to Donegal, and to pull out a 7-point victory is a hugely impressive performance and result for Malachy O'Rourke's team. And they really, really needed this one. This gives them a chance.
It does, yeah. That was a brilliant victory for Tyrone. And I don't want to toot my own trumpet here, but I did say it on my show during the week that Tyrone would beat Donegal. Exactly. And what I will say, actually, James, it was 25 points to 19, no? To the Tyrone.
25-19.
So it was a 6-point win.
It was. Sorry, it was.
So yeah, it was a really good victory for Tyrone, especially Niall Morgan. We chatted on that podcast during the week about goalkeepers, where they'd have a role in the adjustments of the new rules. But Niall Morgan showed you could go up at sometimes and you could go back sometimes. And he was absolutely a Rolls Royce today with 5 points. Absolutely incredible performance from him. Mark Bradley with 4, Darragh Canavan with 4 as well. I had Matty Donnelly looking at the scores as well. Was absolutely outstanding for Tyrone. And a lot of people were saying over the last few weeks, against Kerry, against Galway, these sorts of games, if the adjustments did come in, Tyrone would have won those games. And there's a major point for that. You see the adjustments come in now, they look a different team. And I did say on Aaron's channel, Gaelic Games Fan TV as well, on the Cork season preview, I did say at that time who I'd say would win the honour of this Tyrone. And I wasn't sure the first few weeks of the league. But then, as the league has gone on, after they now won today as well, I think they're coming into form at the right time, James. And you look at the players coming in now. Peter Hart is coming in over the last 2 weeks. Darragh Canavan's starting to get some game time. Mark Bradley is a firm grip on this team as well with 4 points full forward. Kieran Daly's starting to find some form. Brian Kennedy and Con Kilpatrick are finding something as well. Joe Goose got minutes out today against Donegal. They're starting to find players now, and they're starting to gain a bit of momentum. Yes, you could argue it's a Donegal team that Jim McGuinness might think, we're not going to go to a league final because we couldn't be bothered, basically. But you still have to play what's in front of you. You're going to Letterkenny to play Donegal. You have to put out a good performance to save your status. Considering the results earlier today with Mayo and Derry, Tyrone would have known going in before the ball was thrown in. If they lost against Donegal, they were relegated. So they had to give everything. And they did. Like, it was a brilliant performance from them, a brilliant result. And honestly, Seamus, I know it might seem only like a win to save survival in many ways, but I think this could be the start of something great for this Tyrone side. And when you look at the last game against one of the last games against Galway, with the draw in that game, they could have easily won it as well. I do think this Tyrone team is on the cusp of something exciting this season. You have the group of players there now. You have a bit of confidence. Malik O'Rourke is getting a bit of structure at this team now. I think Tyrone are seriously a team to watch. I know it might be recency bias looking at today's results. The players, the manager, the form now, the confidence, the adjustment to the new rules, it's all there for Tyrone now. I think they could have a very, very good season.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think that they have the potential. I wouldn't put them front runners for the All Ireland just yet, but the potential is there. There's no question about it. You got Malik O'Rourke there's a superb coach. You've got a very strong basis of players who were involved in the 2021 season where they won the All Ireland. And then on top of that, you have under 20 All Ireland winners like Rory Canavan, like Niall Devlin, like all these boys involved in the team. Then other stars like Owen McElhone, Kieran Daly coming in. And then on top of that, you've got returning stars like Mark Bradley, who are returning in from the 21 team. It's a really good mix. It's a really, really good Tyrone team. And if they can get the blend right, they're going to take some serious stopping. I just think it will probably take them at least a year to get it completely right. So I probably wouldn't lean to them just yet. I think Donegal, even though they lost this game, I'd probably put them slightly ahead just in terms of McGuinness has his second season with them. I think whatever he's doing will be a little bit more established. Again, my stance on the league is only that it showcases what you're capable of. That's my stance on the league. Not that it's going to tell us what's going to happen, but it will showcase to us what you're capable of. And Tyrone are capable of brilliant performances. That's what we've seen in the league. We've seen the Armagh capable of brilliant performances. We've seen that Donegal are capable of it. We've seen that Derry are capable of fighting to the bitter end. We've also seen that Derry are capable of completely collapsing in a game like they did against Dublin. We've also seen that Dublin are capable of completely failing to get out of first gear in the first half, just as they did against Armagh. We've seen pretty much a wide spectrum from all of the teams in Division 1. I'm pretty sure every team in Division 1 has had a very bad half and a very good half. So we've seen what they're all capable of for positive and for negative. A couple of comments in here. Sean O'Malley says Tyrone first season syndrome and Donegal are taking their foot off the gas. Hopefully Mayo don't end up in the league final. I would rule it out, Sean, to be honest. Jack Dundee says Tyrone and Kerry improving as it goes along. Yes, Kerry also had a very impressive win over Armagh, which leads us on nicely, Jack. Thank you very much. Kerry 221, Armagh 17 points in Austin Stack Park. Again, just like with Tyrone, this was a victory that Kerry needed, and they got it.
Yeah, this was one other than the Cork game. Obviously, this was the one game I did watch in full, and I will say in the first half in particular, I was really impressed with Kerry. Their kicking game more than anything into the full forward line. David Clifford again was causing absolute havoc in the full forward line. Paddy, we had a very good performance. Tony Brosnan was very impressive when he came on for Kerry as well. So really good performance from them. I think the worry is Dermot O'Connor. The way he went down towards the end of the game, it looked like he was clutching his shoulder. It looked a serious injury. I think Jack looked a bit anxious on the sideline. Look at that injury. I hope for Dermot's sake it isn't too serious. But other than that,
the team, given that's been their problem position.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, but to be fair, Joe O'Connor played very well the other night, I thought. Got a few bangs himself, which is not ideal. But yeah, it's a very good performance from Kerry. They had the game sewn up in the first half. Armagh, we talk about consistency, and yeah, that this performance doesn't do anything to sway our arguments about Armagh's consistency. They're very, very good one week, and then they're very, very average, I would say, the next week. And that's why I don't think they'll back it up and win the All-Ireland. I don't think they'll even win Ulster this year. But it looks at their performances so far. They've looked kind of leggy. They've looked like kind of a team that has a bit of weight on their shoulders. It doesn't seem right with Armagh at the moment. And with Ciarán McGeeney's comments afterwards about Rian O'Neill in particular, looks like he's not going to play any part this season. It looks very, very bad from an Armagh point of view. But for just Kerry, like
throw it to you, Sean here says, how do you see Armagh coping this year without Rian O'Neill?
That's what I said. I don't think they'll win Ulster, and I don't think they'll win the All-Ireland. They might get to a quarter. They might be like Derry last year and they fluke away to a quarter final or something like that, because they have some quality footballers there. But I don't think they're getting any further than that, honestly. but it looks at the performance so far that like 1 week it's up here, another week it's down here.
But
That's
that
what
is exactly, I mean this, that is exactly what most champions tend to do when they break a duck. Like, you look at Limerick in 2019, like, and they annihilated Tipperary in that Munster hurling final. Like, they annihilated them. And then they got into the semi-final against Kilkenny, completely caught napping at the wheel. And all of a sudden, Kilkenny had built up too much of a lead, and Limerick couldn't quite claw them back, even though realistically they should have got that 65. But the point remains, they were asleep for crucial stages of their season, and like the All-Ireland hangover definitely hit them. You look at Dublin 2012 as well, just the year after breaking the 16-year duck from 95 to 2011. We were fantastic in the Leinster Championship, put a real beating on teams in Leinster. And then, and this was, bear in mind, this is when Leinster was still relatively competitive. You still had Meath and Kildare and Wexford that would put it up to Dublin at that time. And then we got into the All-Ireland semi-final against Mayo, and we were just shite in that first half. And we left ourselves such a mountain to climb. And I feel like that inconsistency tends to be there for champions that just became champions after a long duck. And I think Armagh were already, with the most respect, were already a bit inconsistent before winning the All-Ireland, they put their consistency together last season and had an outstanding run, an outstanding All-Ireland victory. I would worry about their consistency, as a lot of Armagh fans are saying here. Patrick Cahill, he says, as an Armagh supporter, I was extremely disappointed at that display last night. Too busy mickeying around instead of playing football. A lot of supporters returned home very angry with the performance. Gaelic Guy 24 here says, we're so inconsistent, but championship matters most. No concerns yet from an Armagh perspective. Very interesting. Gaelic Guy, I'd love to get your opinion, and Patrick Cahill, obviously two diehard Armagh fans. What's your take personally on the news of Rian O'Neill and McGeeney's comments and everything like that? I'd love to hear your take on it. Jack Nulty here says there's talk he could be back for championship 4 or 6 weeks. And then Nerb says, since Dublin 2020, nobody has won the All-Ireland 2 years in a row. Great stat there from Nerb, because it's a really, really difficult thing to do. And like, that's why you need to appreciate just how good that Dublin team, that Limerick team, that Kerry team was, that strung all those All-Irelands back to back. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be too worried for Armagh in terms of, I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff, but I just don't think that they'll win the All-Ireland this year. I just think if you look at history, once a team breaks a duck, it's very unlikely that you're going to go and win it again. I think I wouldn't rule out Armagh winning it in 2026, because you get it taken off you, and then that hunger comes back to the level that it was in 2024. I just think the amount of hurt that they'd been through, the amount of misfortune that they'd had with the penalty shootouts and everything, that wasn't like Armagh's win last year was not just a 2024 project. That was 4 years in the making. Armagh winning that All-Ireland. So it's like mission accomplished type feeling. For Kerry, obviously, Jack O'Connor, we've been saying this. Jack needs an All-Ireland with Kerry. And I'll come back to my question to you here. Gaelic guys responded about Rian O'Neill. He says, disappointed about Rian, but I think there could be some personal issues, and I don't think his head is in the right mindset. Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think if you look at like someone like Fenton stepping away for Dublin, for example, if your head's not in it, your head's not in it. And I feel like people like Rian and people like Brian Fenton, they're such professionals that they're either all the way out or they're all the way in. And I feel like that's why, one of the reasons why both of them have taken this season off. Sean O'Malley put up a great example here. Donegal flopped in 2013 and they were contenders again in 2014. That is a fantastic example. It felt like they ran out of gas in 2013. They ended up getting taken to town by Mayo, I remember, in the All-Ireland quarterfinal, because Mayo still had that hunger that year because they hadn't reached the top of the mountain yet. For Kerry, Jack needs an All-Ireland. We know that. If Kerry don't win the All-Ireland this season, I'd be stunned if Jack O'Connor is still the Kerry manager in 2026. If there's any Kerry fans watching, actually, I'd be very interested. Let me know where you think the Kingdom are at right now. Where do you think they're at, Matthew?
Look at that performance last night. I think, and you talked about the league being probably a standard on what teams are capable of. That's what Kerry are capable of. Long kicking, some brilliant football, if Kerry play football like that in the All-Ireland Championship this year, they'll be a hard team to beat. They looked sharp last night. They looked really, really good to them on their kicking game as well. David Clifford looked superb form. So did Paulie. Dylan Gainey, to be fair to him as well. Micheál Burns, he's been missing for so many seasons now. He showed his class last night. What he's been showing for Dr. Crokes in the club championship last season. Paul Gainey, when he was called upon, got a point as well. I thought Jason Foley was good when he came up and got a point as well. The two midfielders I thought were in excellent form, particularly Joe O'Connor. I thought had an excellent game as well. And the way they pushed up on the Armagh kickouts as well. I know Blaine Hughes will get a lot of the blame for the short kickouts and how it malfunctioned, but Kerry pushed up on it. They saw kind of a vulnerability in Armagh and they started to push up on it. And then the midfield started to win their battles. Like Kerry, if they push up on their opposition, they are a serious team to be looked at. And if they use David Clifford properly, if they kick the ball properly, like great Kerry teams do, they are a serious team to look at. And yeah, that's why you still have to look at that Kerry team and think, like, if they click, they look to be a serious team this season, and yeah, that's what they are capable of. Some high attacking football. They look really, really good at the moment, and they've Galway next week now, so they might be in a tricky situation. Like if they lose to Galway and Armagh and Tyrone both win, then Kerry could go down. So they're still in the relegation kind of fodder, despite the brilliant performance this weekend. So they're not out of the woods just yet, but looking at last night's performance anyway, I think. Looking towards the championship, I think a lot of Kerry fans will be happy with how Jack O'Connor's team is progressing. They're on an upward trajectory now. They aren't flip-flopping up and down. They aren't going downwards. They're going up, which is a good sign.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely agree. Gaelic guy here says mental that if Armagh and Tyrone win next week, it's possible the team could go down on 6 points, maybe even 7. I don't know. I'm not the best on the maths, but that would be absolutely bonkers. That would have to be almost a new record. Couple comments
Seamus.
Yeah.
Cork went down with 6 points. I remember Division 1 in 2016.
I'm pretty sure we had somewhere similar when we went down. I'm pretty sure we had something similar. We beat Donegal, we beat Tyrone, and we beat...
Oh, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Lay down the pass, don't worry. Don't worry about it. Sean O'Malley here says, don't think Kerry have the squad depth and still reliant on Clifford. Jack Nutty, this is about me talking about Jack O'Connor, I'm guessing, winning All Ireland. He says, it does, I agree, and pressure's on, but I think if he can kick the ball consistently and on, they will be hard to beat in Croke Park. I do agree. If Kerry gets Croke Park, they're always difficult to beat. Sean O'Malley says they're dangerous with the new rules, though. And Jack says, don't agree. Okay, yes, last year, but they seem to be finding it a bit more depth this year. Won't be tested till Croke Park later on, but I think they look less reliant on Clifford. But you are still going to use your best. That's a great point. That is pretty much the next point I was going to talk about, because with Clifford, it's a bit like a catch-22, isn't it? It's like, of course, if you have a player as good as he is, of course, you're going to try feed him the ball as much as you can. You'd be stupid to not want to put the ball in David Clifford's hands as much as you possibly can. But then that can also lead to a little bit of an over-reliance on him. But I do think that Kerry's squad depth is better this season than it was last year. I think the return of players like Micheál Burns, etc. There was a comment in on the pod a couple of weeks ago from, I can't remember who, but talking about how Killian Burke is gone, Mark O'Connor is gone, players like that are fantastic footballers. And if they were in the panel, what they could bring back into it, that's a great point. Hopefully they'll be able to get them back sooner rather than later in the future. We get to see them tug out for Kerry again. And then Sean says, don't think they have the same depth compared to the likes of Tyrone, Donegal and Galway. I probably would agree with that statement, but I would not write Kerry off. I think in terms of, like, if you're making an Ireland team and you're making your Ireland 6 forwards, I think Shawnee and David Clifford walk in. And then you could make a serious case for Paulie Clifford. So then they've half of the forwards for an Ireland team. Like, they have probably the best forward line. So you can never rule out that Kerry team. Personally, I think they're right in the mix. I think it's win or bust this season for Jack O'Connor. Moving to 2 other teams who I think are contenders, I probably still would put Galway ahead of Dublin, even though Dublin got the win on Saturday night. Dublin won this one 2-19 to 2-13 in Croke Park. A very, very entertaining game of Gaelic football. Dublin looked to have this one completely wrapped up. Then all of a sudden, a very, very weird goal for Galway, brings them right back into it. A brilliant second goal by Damien Comer, and all of a sudden the game is right back on. Dublin managed the situation really well from that point on, though. 2 goals from Sean Bugler proved crucial for the Dubs. And a 6-point win for Dublin in Croke Park. Very important win, because it just means, again, we're not looking over our shoulder, we're looking the other way.
Yeah, and that's a very good victory for Dublin as well. That's Galway's first loss of the league campaign, and Dublin looked imperious really in the first half. Second half took a bit of a dip, as you said there, but they managed the game superbly, and you have to give them a lot of credit for that. Bugler has to be one of the most informed players in the country. Got 2 goals last night. I think it was 19 points up until that point, so that's 219 in the league campaign, and added on to the fact he didn't play one of those games against Armagh because he was rested. So like, he's been in absolutely incredible form, really good form from him. 2 players coming back, though. Cluxton coming back into the Dublin team, obviously great to see him back in there. And Damien Comer, not only coming back from injury, but coming back and scoring 1-2, a superb goal, as you mentioned there as well. It's always great to see these kind of great old, let's say old. It doesn't seem right with Damien. He's been around, yeah, experienced. That's probably the right term. But experience wise, yeah, the wise guys. But yeah, exactly. But I'll call them the wise guys. The wise guys in Cluxton and Damien Comer. Absolutely, really good to see them back in action as well, and especially after Comer got that kind of that dig from Garrett McKinless last year. That kind of affected his whole season. I'll say that, like, it was bad for him up from that point up into the All-Ireland final. Yeah, so it was, and it kind of affected his whole campaign. But he's got a prolonged rest now, back to inter-county action, and he looked as good as he's ever been, really. That was a really good performance from him. Cluxton maybe a bit, I don't know, I was seeing some commentary on social media that he was a bit iffy on the kickouts there, but that will improve as time goes on. It's his first game back for a long time. It's great to see him back, obviously, but you look at Dublin scores, well, Costello got 5 points. Luke Brannock is really impressed in this league campaign with 4 as well. Con back in the form with 4 points as well. Dublin look good with the newer players coming on the block as well. Obviously, Wick Cluxton back in there as well. Theo Clancy started another game. Brian Howard again excelled in midfield. Like, Dublin look to be in a good position at the moment to go into the Tyrone game next week. And it should be interesting to see who gets to the league final now. Will it be, like, Mayo could sneak in? Mayo, or like, it's hard to fathom, actually. Mayo are 1 point off top spot. Just on a side note, it's unreal, isn't it? But they're in the mix. But you probably would say Donegal, Galway, Dublin are in the front row seats in terms of a league final at the moment. We'll have to see how it all transpires next week. Who, number 1, and this is the key point, wants to get to a league final, and number 2, who will have the temperament to get to a league final. Because you look at it, Donegal have Derry the next week in the Ulster Championship. Galway have to go to New York. Dublin might want a league final, obviously, because their first game, I think, is against Wicklow or Longford or somebody in Leinster. Like, no offence to those counties, but Dublin is going to win that. So yeah, I think Dublin would really want a league final, and they'd want to rubber stamp that against Tyrone next week. But just on a side note, Seamus, in terms of wanting a league final and things like that between Donegal, Dublin, Galway, all these, this isn't a teams issue or a performance issue. This is a Gaelic Games issue. Like, why do you have the league final on exactly a week before the All-Ireland Championship begins? Because A, it's bad for promotion, and B, it's just bad for player welfare as well. Honestly, they've done this for so many seasons now. Why hasn't it been fixed? I don't know.
Well, I remember, man, we were talking about it last season. I remember literally sitting there being like, I can predict what me and Matthew and we're going to be talking about this time next year. We're going to be talking about the calendar at the first part of the year. Then we're going to be talking about broadcasting in May, June, because there's going to be a big championship game that won't get shown. Then we'll be talking about club championships not running at the same time when we hit August, September. Just like, things tend to stay the same. But what was crazy is then we had a massive year of change in the GAA in the intermediate phase. I wouldn't have said that anything. If you told me last year that, like, Jim Gavin was going to head up the FRC and change the entire game of Gaelic football, like, I don't think we would have believed that that change could happen so much in an organization where I'm used to change taking a long time, that in 1 year so much change could happen. Sean O'Malley here says, written off in 2009. I'm sure Seamus remembers this, obviously, about Kerry. I do remember that. Of course, I've been to therapy over that. Thank you very much. That game in 2009, the All-Ireland quarter-final, Colin Cooper scored a goal after about 50 seconds, and it was just target practice for Kerry from there to the end. Matchy, just on a bit of GA trivia, do you remember there was a song out at the time before that All-Ireland quarter-final against Kerry? Someone had put out like a parody song, and it was done to like a Pitbull. I don't know what song it was, but it was just 1, 2, 3, 4, dos, chase, will hammer, Kerry. We want, and like it was like just taking it was absolutely being like Kerry or shite basically, and Dublin are this new team.
To be fair, Seamus, I remember that season. Longford got them very close to the qualifiers. Sligo were ahead of them at half time and missed the penalty.
Sligo should have beaten them. They missed the penalty, and if they scored that penalty, they would have beat them. And then we would have played Sligo in an All-Ireland quarter-final. I think we would have had bet. But to be honest, looking at that Dublin team, we were ropey as hell. Like we were. I think Pat Gilroy had his work cut out. But I remember if you can find, I might look for that video now. Honestly, tonight, like see if I can find it. Just look up "Will Hammer Kerry" dub song 2009 or something, and see if it comes up, because I swear to God, it's the worst song. And I remember listening to it on the way up and thinking, are we going to hammer Kerry? Like, aren't they the team that have been winning all Irelands? I know that they're not looking great right now. And I was 8 years old and I still wasn't getting carried away with it. And yeah, let's just say we didn't hammer Kerry in that All-Ireland quarter-final. But yeah, moving back on, a Gaelic guy here says, I think the All-Ireland is between Armagh, Dublin, Donegal, Galway, Kerry and Tyrone. Very competitive this year. I think this is one of the most open All-Irelands I have ever seen. Patrick Gahal says, when we play football, we can play football, but sometimes they get sucked into pulling and hauling. We lose focus. Definitely should have kept Eaton in nets last night. Huge mistake. Yeah, I find that for Armagh as well, that question of who do you play in goal between Rafferty, Blaine Hughes, like that is like, it's a good headache to have, but it's a headache nonetheless. And I think Tyrone had that with their forwards after the 2021 All-Ireland. They had so many forwards that were quite similar, like Darren McCurry, Mark Bradley, Lee Brennan, like pacey, strong,
Paul McShane,
good left foot, Cathal McShane, Paul Donaghy, Conor McKenna, like so many options that it's very hard to then fit all them in to the forwards, and they ended up losing Paul Donaghy, Mark Bradley, although Mark Bradley returned, but Lee Brennan, like those lads left the panel and they haven't got all of them back because they weren't guaranteed game time, and McKenna went back over to Australia. So it's going to be very interesting to see how McGeeney plays this. What we will do now is one more thing before we move on from the Dublin and Galway game is I'm just going to give a word to Sean Bugler, because my God, this guy's performances have been exceptional. And like when you're talking about players that have got a lot of attention and a lot of hype throughout the league, Shane Walsh obviously jumps off the page because of the form he's in and the 2-pointers he's been scoring, rightfully so. He's got a lot of praise. But Sean Bugler, man, like in every game that Dublin have played, Sean Bugler has been fantastic. And 2 goals and some of the points that he scored as well. He's been brilliant for Dublin. And with the players like Brian Fenton, James McCarthy, Paul Mannion stepping away from the team, players like Sean Bugler now, who were youngsters in the team around 2020, 2021, now Bugler is becoming like a main man in this Dublin team, and you're seeing the leadership qualities come to the fore.
Yeah, exactly. And he definitely had to stand up at the start of the season, considering the players that had left the panel, and he has done. He's probably come in as probably a bit part player in the Dublin team. He still was a fantastic footballer, but he was a bit part player with all those greats around him. But now, once those greats have left, there's a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he has excelled massively. Like, I think he's one of the top scorers from play at the moment. I'm looking at looking for the photo of the top scorers chart as we speak now. But I think he scored 18 or 19 points coming into this game, 219 from play. In what is it, 5 games? That's really good. That's nearly 4 points or 5 points a game or something like that's an incredible tally. It's a really, really good tally to have, and him to get 2 goals last night, and well taken goals may I add as well. An excellent footballer, and he's definitely showed his class this season. And to be honest, like with the lads gone, like the likes of Fenton, McCaffrey, Mannion, McCarthy, maybe it's been a blessing in disguise for the likes of Bugler, because he's shown even more now. There's a lot more responsibility in his shoulders, and he's saying, I'm going to take the game by the scruff of the neck here. And he's proven everybody, well, I would say most people wrong by his performances so far. Like, it's a very good campaign from, it's about keeping the level of consistency at the moment. But if he does keep the level of consistency throughout the whole season, and I'm including championship in this as well, then he's up there for a player of the year contender if Dublin go far, obviously. Like, he's in that kind of form at the moment. He looks in really good shape as well, and he looks to be in the form of his life in his career in a Dublin shirt.
Well, this is definitely the best I've ever seen him and most consistent I've ever seen him. I just think, again, he's such a banker for like 3 or 4 points a game. Sean Bugler usually provides for Dublin, especially with these new rules, and the form he's in is just brilliant. So I just wanted to give him a massive shout. Brilliant stuff, Sean. Keep it up. Alliance Football League Division 2, Round 6. And we said that this one would be the one, arguably the most consequential result of the weekend. Meath 120, Monaghan 129 in Port Talton. It's a massive win for Monaghan. And for Meath, it is a tough defeat because, you know, coming into this weekend, there was a real optimism and positivity there that this could be the one that they win and they get promotion. They've lost this game. With Roscommon losing to Cavan, all of a sudden they're not completely out of it, but it definitely, the fact that Roscommon lost as well, for me, I feel like that might even sting even more because they missed a chance to put themselves where Monaghan are now, ahead of the pack.
The thing is, though, Seamus, and there is a scenario here. If Monaghan beat Down next week, if Meath do their job against Louth, if Roscommon beat Westmeath, and if Cork beat Cavan next week, Meath are up because of the head-to-head with Roscommon. So despite losing this game today, they could well be up, even regardless of that. Like, it is a tough defeat to take, but they are still in the race. Nothing's out of the equation just yet. Like, they have to battle against Louth next week, and we'll talk about Louth and Cork in a bit, but Louth look very, very poor today. So I do think Meath have a major chance of at least putting pressure in terms of the promotion charge next week, despite the result today. And in terms of the result today, Monaghan were just better. They were better all over the pitch. Like, they scored 129 in the game. I know it's the new rules and you score a lot of points in regards to that, but to score that total is a brilliant tally to get, especially Jack McCarron coming off the bench with 7 points. Brilliant display from him. Rory Beggan 5 points. Meath Bannigan 8 as well. And obviously Stephen O'Hanlon with 3 points, getting the TG Carr man of the match. Andrew Woods getting a goal as well. And I have to apologise to Monaghan fans. Like I was saying over the last few weeks, this team will burn out. This team has a small population. They probably would have been better in Division 2. They're going straight back up, aren't they? Like, they look in serious fettle at the moment. The thing is, Seamus, like, it's amazing in many ways because the population of Monaghan, and they're still producing. It's incredible. You still have to give a lot of credit to them, and I know I've given a lot of credit to them, and maybe it's me being annoying at this stage, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Look at the population of Monaghan. Look at the number of clubs in Monaghan, and they still produce some excellent footballers year in, year out. It's brilliant, you know, and you have to give a lot of credit to them. Again, a brilliant tally today. Brilliant result for Monaghan, and they'll be confident of going up next week. But as for Meath, tough defeat to take, bad performance. They should part this now, move into the Louth game, probably a winnable game for them next week. They could still go up despite the result today.
Yeah, no, like Meath are somehow they've kind of just somehow got away with it.
Yeah, and we'll get on to it now.
Yeah, it's like a bloke drinking way too much when he's going on a night out and he somehow gets into the club. It's like you messed it up for yourself and you got away with it. You're still somehow exactly where you would have wanted to be. Liam right here says, me just simply not at the races. Monaghan a different level and for sure are a Division 1 team. Sean O'Malley here says, the Leinster Championship looks scary for everyone bar the Dubs. You can change the rules, but you can't change the landscape. And Monaghan remind me of the Force India Formula 1 team achieving so much on limited resources. They remind me a lot of Kilkenny and the Hurling Monaghan that just pound for pound, they seem to get the absolute max out of what
They
they
remind
have.
me. They remind me of Bournemouth in the Premier League. Monaghan.
Bournemouth in the Premier League, you can make the case for Ireland in the rugby as well, man. Small population, New Zealand in the rugby as well. Like, compared to countries with far more population like South Africa, like England, etc., and putting in fantastic performances. For me, they're still in with a great show, and that ties us in nicely with this game. We're going to analyse these two together. Roscommon 20 points, Cavan 22. This could be a really costly result for Roscommon, and they've kind of gone at a similar trajectory to Kildare, haven't they? Because Jack Nulty threw it in about Kildare there earlier that he doesn't know what to make of Kildare. Obviously, Liam White, if you're still watching, massive win for Offaly. But Roscommon and Kildare have kind of gone at a similar trajectory that we both picked them to finish top of their respective divisions. They cleaned up in the first 4 games, and you're like, yep, done, wrapped up, they're going up. And all of a sudden, they've just absolutely dropped the ball in 2 games that you probably would have expected them to win. And all of a sudden, they're both in sticky situations in their respective divisions.
To be fair to Roscommon, I thought they were back to their best against Cork and Páirc Uí Chaoimh, beating them by 14 points. That was a horrible defeat from a Cork point of view, but from a Roscommon point of view, it was a brilliant win. And Davy Burke said it to Joe McCarthy from Cork's Red FM afterwards, that this was probably the win that they needed to get back up in the horse and performance, everything. And they were just happy with the win that night. So I thought, go into this game against Cavan at home, it's a slam dunk. Surely you're going to be... Look, Cavan have done well. They've won 3 games on the bounce. They did well to get themselves out of the relegation worries and relegation zone. But then again, Roscommon are a superior team. But what on earth happened today? I literally, Seamus, I was in the media box covering Cork and Louth today for the Star, obviously, and I was looking at my phone in terms of Score Bio, and I was looking at the score Cavan and Roscommon. I was seeing the score Cavan up by a point. I was like, what? What is happening here? And then Cavan to win by 2 points at the end. And literally, I was a lot of people around us for the media interviews and stuff like that during the Cork game were so shocked. Like, we were thinking, how on earth has this happened? Mm-hmm. It's one of them incredible results. But to be fair to Cavan, Garrett McKieran at 6 points, Darren McVitie 4, Keane Madden with 3, Queeveen O'Reilly with 4 points. I think it's Queeveen or Cormac O'Reilly, with 4 points in this game. James Smith again producing a brilliant display as well. You have to give a lot of credit to Cavan, and I'm sure John McMahon is absolutely delighted Cavan man this evening. Like, that is a brilliant result for them. But for Roscommon, any Roscommon fans in the comments or anybody watching the live stream, what on earth went wrong? Like you have to give a lot of credit to Cavan, but Roscommon seemed to be going well in the first few games, despite the loss against Meath. Even in the loss against Meath, it was 2 quick-fire goals that got Meath to win in the end. So I'm like, at home in Dr. Hyde Park, what on earth went wrong? Really, I honestly don't know. Like, this was one of those results I was like, I literally had to double check. Yeah. Like, it was one of those results you were thinking, what on earth happened here?
Yeah, what do you think it was? Do you think they just underestimated the task that after the Cork game, especially given that was away from home? Do you think that they thought, oh, we have this one at home, we'll win this one? Not that they underestimated it in terms of that they didn't pay any respect to Cavan, but that they were just really confident that they would be good enough to get over the line. Like, we have here Liam White talking about it. Says Roscommon and Kildare will be kicking themselves massively. Failure to come up for them both would be disastrous. I do agree. Like, if Kildare failed to get out of Division 3 with a new manager when they brought it in, when everybody pointed the finger at Glenn Ryan's management team and said that's the problem, and they get in Brian Flanagan, who's going to be the guy who's going to turn it around, and they failed to get up, it doesn't look great. Roscommon under Davy Burke, the pressure would be piled on him then to get a Connacht Championship. Sean says as well, I thought Roscommon would be dead on promotion until I saw this result. I was exactly the same. I thought, banker, Roscommon are going up, this is what they do. And all of a sudden, I'm going to throw the question to you now, Matthew. So, given the fact that Monaghan beat Meath in that crucial game, But Roscommon slipped up and lost to Cavan. We now go into the final week, or the final round of fixtures in Division 2, with Monaghan on 10 points, Roscommon, Meath and Cavan then all on 8 points respectively. Who do you think goes up?
Jesus, it is a difficult one, really. But first of all, I do think as shocked as we are about Roscommon's kind of recent form, I do think they'll beat Westmeath next week. Surely.
Mm-hmm.
Westmeath are gone. They've nothing to play for. Roscommon should win that game. I think Monaghan will do enough against Down. There's still something on the line for them, so I think they'll do enough against Down. I think Meath will beat Louth. I think it will all come down to really that game between Cavan and Cork and Breffni Park. If Cork gets something out of that, Meath are going up. But if Cavan win it, then it goes down to scoring difference and Roscommon go up. This is honestly, you have to go back to me probably Wednesday or Thursday about this, James, because it's a very, very hard division to call at this present moment in time, because a lot of things can happen in those particular games. I think the only slam dunk, why am I saying slam dunk? Because I said it was a slam dunk for Roscommon to beat Cavan. but like, I'm saying it's a slam dunk for Roscommon to beat Westmeath. Surely Roscommon are going to beat Westmeath.
Yeah.
Then the other results, it's up in the air. Because Down are capable of beating Monaghan. They are capable of it.
Of course.
So it's all up in the air. It's a very, very tough one to call. If I was to say it now, I'm going to say Monaghan and slightly Roscommon right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Cavan beat Cork, but we'll have to see.
Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'll say Monaghan and Roscommon. I said that Roscommon will go up at the start of the year. I don't really want to change on it going into the last game, but by God, they've made their fans sweat with that defeat to Cavan. All of a sudden, what seemed certainty, all of a sudden is not 100% anymore, and they need to dig themselves out of this hole in the final week, and they need results to go their way as well. Sean O'Malley says they remind me of Scotland in the Six Nations. Get out and get humbled. Move on to the next couple of games that were in Division 2. We had obviously Cork beating Louth by 123 to 18 points in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, which you were there for, of course. And we also had Down beating Westmeath 126 to 28 points in Páirc Esler. These ones are more significant at the wrong end of the table, the bottom half of the table. Cork winning this one puts themselves up onto 6 points, 2 clear of Down and Louth, who are now tied on 4 points each respectively. Louth with a worse scoring difference, so Louth slip into the relegation zone.
Wait, Seamus, it's Down in the relegation zone.
Because
Down lost to Louth.
Yeah.
Head to head.
The head to head, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So currently Down and Westmeath, the two teams that came up, going straight back down as we stand right now. So Down do have to beat Monaghan to really secure. Or they have to get something from that game and hope that Meath beat Louth. So that increases the motivation even more for Down. Yeah, like putting these two games together, obviously Down needed the win against Westmeath and Páirc Esler. By God, they were made to work for it. Cork, more straightforward win in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, the Cork win. To be honest, Seamus, I think the only frustrating thing from a Cork point of view is we didn't win by more. We were 15 points to 4 up at half time, and it looked very, very plain sailing. And Sam Mulroy, again, he got 11 points in this game out of Louth's 18. And Louth only got 6 2-pointers and 6 1-pointers. That's probably not really good enough to win a game, but Cork were, to be fair, the performance was good from a Cork point of view. Conor McCallum getting a goal, obviously, midway through the second half, that kind of rubber stamped the win in many ways. Mark Cronin had a very good performance as well. Brian O'Driscoll in 2 2-pointers in this as well. It's 74% shot accuracy from Cork. We've seen it against Meath, and we now see it against Louth. They are capable of a good performance. And you talked about the league being what sides are capable of. That's a performance Cork are capable of, but we just haven't seen enough of it, and it's just frustrating in its own right. But Cavan next week, you know what, I would be shocked if Cork go up to Cavan in Breffni Park and beat them. It's just, you know, it's just inconsistencies again, and it's annoying, but like we'll have to see what happens next week. But in terms of Louth, look, I think they are affected by the new rules. And I said this at the start of the season. I didn't think they'd be this bad, I'll be honest. But they just don't look to be accustomed to the new rules at all. But like there was one instance in the first half where there was.
Aaron said that Meath would be relegated. I said Louth would be promoted.
I said Down would be promoted.
Yeah.
Like it's
goddamn.
Yeah, it's not looking good really, but yeah, Louth they were probably poor. But to be fair, like Craig Lennon's out injured. They are without most of their players as well. But yeah, it was a comfortable win for Cork. Probably the scoreline was probably flattering from a Louth point of view. I think Cork should have won by more. But yeah, look, it's a good win for Cork. But they still need to beat Cavan next week, not in terms of relegation and stuff. They need to beat them because of Tailteann Cup placings. Because they need to finish 5th or higher realistically to get it's a rubber stamp of space in the Sam Maguire Cup. So it's still a crucial game for Cork next week, despite going clear of the relegation zone. And as for Down, brilliant win for them over Westmeath, 13 points for Pat Haver, and John McGough got 1-1 in this game as well. Mihal Rooney got 2 points, so did Owen Murdoch. So it was a good win for Down. Westmeath are relegated, and to be honest, again, it's like Derry. They haven't been hammered. They haven't been in disgrace in games. They've been close in every game. And
scoring 28 points away from home and losing.
That's a kick in the teeth, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, look at the tallies they're putting up. Like it's unheard of, really. But I think I see the stat as well that they're one of the highest scorers across the 4 divisions, and they're relegated with 0 points. It's mad. It really is. But yeah, I think
it's a good sign with McCabe. I know that they're getting relegated, and it sounds kind of stupid to say, but like genuinely, if you look at the performances are more long term than the results. And if they were playing a style of football that won't really suit them in the championship and getting some decent results, what they're showing is they're capable of mixing it with all these teams. And look, in the summer, they might get the rub of the green in games where they're not getting the rub of the green right now, and McCabe will well and truly have settled himself into the team. I asked you the question about promotion. Who do you think will go down? Not down.
Well, to be fair, Seamus, I think I'd like to say Down will get a draw or a win against Monaghan, but considering Monaghan's form, I don't think they're going to do it. So automatically Down, pardon the pun, are going the opposite direction. I think, well, not the exact direction. Down. I think Down are.
That's what it says in the tin.
Yeah, exactly. And Westmeath, obviously, but Down. I still think Down. This is the funny thing. I do think Down have performed better in this division than Louth have.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's just unfortunate for them that they did lose to Louth by a point in that game. But
Westmeath have performed better, in my opinion.
I do as well, yeah.
Because Westmeath have not had a game where they've been blown out of the water. Louth have picked up a couple of wins, but there's arguments to be made there. But I think Westmeath have been more consistent, I would say, is my point. They've been consistently very good, but lost. Louth have had a couple of very good performances, which led to wins, and then they've had a couple of games like this Cork game where they were not competing at all, and they've been missing some big players. They've been very reliant on Sam Roy, and they haven't adapted to the new rules at the same pace as some of the teams around them have adapted to these new rules. Sean O'Malley here says Leinster will be a whitewash, but even more so with the new rules. I remember thinking that at the trial games, because I remember early doors Connacht looked way better than Leinster, and by the end of the first quarter, Connacht were leading by about 12 points, and I was like, Jesus, like this could be a cricket score here. But what we'll do now is we'll move on to Division 3, because this is a mad week in Division 3. We have Offaly beating Kildare, we have Sligo beating Antrim, Clare beating Laois, and Leitrim giving a walkover to Fermanagh. Baffling weekend in Division 3. We'll start with Offaly 217, Kildare 17 points. Liam White, if you're watching, love to get your take on this game. What a result for the faithful county. Kildare, all of a sudden, as we were saying, in a bit of a sticky one now.
Well, Seamus, you'd hope from a Kildare point of view that they're not, because they're playing Antrim next week. If that's not, like, to be honest, it's the thing is with Kildare, like you could lose to Offaly, you could lose to Clare. They're promotion rivals. Cool. You
Hmm.
cannot lose to Antrim. No disrespect, but you cannot lose to Antrim being Kildare. You can't. Simple as that. They have to win next week, and I think if Kildare actually beat Antrim, then I think it's pretty rubber stamped that Offaly and Kildare go up.
Hmm.
Despite Clare's brilliant win yesterday, I think it is rubber stamp because Offaly, I was texting Liam earlier actually coincidentally, and he said that Offaly need to lose by 11 points or thereabouts to butcher promotion basically. I don't think that's happening now. I
No, they're
don't
not
think so.
there.
No, they're not doing it. So yeah, I think Offaly and Kildare are going to go up, but Kildare, like, to get themselves in this situation in the first place, it is worrying, isn't it?
Yeah. They have a
The
tendency to
Louth,
shoot themselves in the foot. Like they have a tendency to play Russian roulette.
yeah,
Um,
and no, it is poor, it really is, and by the tweets from really unofficial Kildare GA as well, it looked like Offaly kind of took their chances better and they were using the ball better as well, which wasn't a good sign from a Kildare point of view. So, yeah, it was a bad result from a Kildare point of view there. Fantastic for Offaly. Dylan Hyland with 1-9. You have Cormac Egan with 3 points as well. Probably a player that has become an under 20, if that makes sense, to a senior player this season. He's been in exceptional form. And it's a very good performance from Offaly. Yeah, Liam, great minds think alike. We're both mentioning Cormac Egan there. Yeah, he's been in really good form and he seemed to find a great position at wing back as well. So brilliant result for Offaly. Delighted for Liam. Delighted for Offaly as well because they play great football. They have
yeah.
some fantastic players as well. And you just kind of hope last season that last year was kind of a blip, losing to London. And I was kind of semi-hopeful for them, not very much hopeful. I said Offaly would finish fourth. I said they'd finish high enough. I didn't think they'd go up. Like, this is a very, very good season for Offaly so far. Fair play to them. Clare get the win last night. Aaron Griffin scoring 1-4 in that game. Very good win over Laois, which probably ends Laois's promotion aspirations. So well done to Clare for winning it. But I don't think Clare are going up, given the way the fixtures are falling. Sligo beating Antrim is a crucial win for Sligo, and I think they're staying up now. Seamus, they have Leitrim next week. So yeah, they're winning that one. And as for Leitrim and Fermanagh, Seamus, I'll say this now. Look, I guess Leitrim is a small county with a small population and they have a limited amount of number of clubs. But if under 20s and injuries was the issue, surely you could call upon a certain number of club players to give them a chance.
Yeah.
It's just, and to be honest, Seamus, I don't think Fermanagh are still in the promotion charge as well, which is even more baffling. If you think about it, but I don't think that helps them either in their development because they don't
No.
know where they are now. Like getting a walkover like that, and look, I've seen Stephen Porter's interview on RT with Dave Kerry as well yesterday, and it was just the vibe off it was just, I don't know, it was, and it just probably epitomises Leitrim's whole season. In all honesty, and a lot of people are actually saying that Leitrim should be deducted 2 points in Division 4 next year. And you know what, Seamus? It's just not in the spirit of the game. Like, what you think about yourself, but I think personally, you could easily call upon club players to give them their chance in playing in the Leitrim jersey. They were down anyway this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give them a chance. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm really not. A lot of people point towards Tyrone in 2021. That was different. That was a COVID issue. Sligo was a
Yeah.
COVID issue in 2020. This, what? Like, I honestly don't know. What's your opinions on it?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I feel like, look, unless we're in those circumstances, obviously we don't know what were the contributing factors to Stephen ultimately coming to that decision that they needed to forfeit the game. I know that the under-20s were playing and a lot of those lads were there. I know as well in the interview with RT, he was talking about the amount of injuries that they have, and he says injury crisis. So 12 footballers, it says in the RT article by Marty Morrissey, have been hit with soft tissue injuries, and a number of players have either retired or emigrated to Australia, meaning the squad is down substantial numbers, while Leitrim's under-20s are playing Galway in the Connacht Championship on Wednesday. And though there is no rule preventing their 6 dual panellists from lining out in both games, team management and county officials feel there is no choice other than to give a walkover tomorrow. Yeah, to be honest, I agree with your statement. I think like they would have had an idea that this was coming, like that the Leitrim under-20s would be in this position. The injuries, obviously, you're not going to be able to prepare for that. But again, Leitrim has a very, very solid, proud club championship. Like the final that I watched between Ballinamore, Shauna Heslands and Mohill, there were a lot of very, very good footballers on the pitch that day. And I think if Poacher had to put the call out and been like, lads, look, we need some bodies this weekend, I feel like there could have been a way to get it done. And I feel like giving the walkover should be like the last option. If you can play the game, play the game. Yeah, I don't know. For Leitrim, it's not even just this. It's the fact that the season from the very beginning for Leitrim has been an absolute car crash, and they've been annihilated in every game that they play. They had a very, very difficult game lined up against Fermanagh, and they were missing some key players to the under-20s and injuries, and they forfeit the game. And to me, I just wouldn't be surprised if they just ducked it. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, nah.
And the thing is, Seamus, actually, after 5 games, Leitrim have a score difference of -77.
There you go. I mean, they're not exactly in great form. I hate seeing them like this because I've seen some really, really good Leitrim teams over the last 2 years. Like the team that got promoted out of Division 4 under Terry Highland, and they had players like Emma Mulligan and Keith Byrne and Ryan O'Rourke strutting their stuff. Like I've seen some solid Leitrim teams that have gotten up and competed in Division 3 before. And it just seems like they can never, because of the fact that they're such a small county and a lot of their population do emigrate to not even just abroad, but to different counties in Ireland. And it's very hard to keep everyone together. And if you look at the articles every year about players that counties are missing, Leitrim are always missing about 7 or 8 players from the year before. It's very hard to keep a level of continuity that is similar with other teams, especially teams that are competing in Division 2, Division 1. But to forfeit a game is a bit of a punch in the gut for the whole county and the vibe around the whole county. To me, Poacher will not be Leitrim manager for long. It's had a car crash vibe about it from the get-go. He is a defensive coach in a game that is very much moving towards an attacking style of play. And I think Poacher definitely has a role as a defensive coach, and I think he will be brought back in a defensive setup. But personally, I don't see him being able to lead a team forward with this new attacking wave of play for Leitrim. Like, it's gone bad, and I don't know who would take a punt on him after seeing how bad the Leitrim one has been. Do you know what I mean? That's very harsh. But I've just heard him complain a lot as well about the new rules in different interviews and stuff. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, it is what it is. The rules are the rules. Stop complaining about it. Paddy Talley has been complaining about it a lot as well. And I don't agree with that mindset of like, oh, we're losing games, so let's just start whining and complaining about the rules. Like, get on with it. Everybody has to play by these rules. Deal with it. And unfortunately, they did forfeit that game. And Fermanagh picked up what was a very comfortable 2 points. They didn't even have to leave the house. Clare had a big win over Laois, and obviously Sligo had a big win in their game as well. We have a good comment in here from Luke. He said, "This is no disrespect to his lads, but you have seriously underestimated Monaghan. They have a lot of young talent, and that the likes of Bannigan, O'Hanlon and McCarthy are absolutely incredible." I do agree, Luke. I think that Monaghan, I did anyway, underestimate them this year. I thought that they would have a little bit of a slump after initially getting relegated from Division 1, but they really, really have been solid in Division 2 this season. We're going to move and round up the basement division, and then we'll recap as well the 2 hurling results which took place across the weekend. Division 4 is round 6. More or less everything's decided. Wicklow and Limerick played out to a draw in Auckram, a result that neither of them will be happy with. Wicklow 315, Limerick 121. Wexford beat Tip 113 to 112. Waterford beat London 119 to 211 in Fairfield. And Carlow hammered Longford 220 to 13 points. Is that a bit of a rock bottom for Longford?
How many rock bottoms have Longford had, let's be honest, Seamus, over the last 2 or 3 years? Like it's
got pretty bad. Except in the All-Ireland Cup.
They lost to London last year. Or no, they lost to Waterford last year at the Hudson Cup.
Yeah.
That was in front of 20 people, I think it was. Like that was pretty that was literally 20 people. I think it was about 20 to 40 people. That was the actual attendance that day. But yeah, it's a bad result for Longford, no doubt about it. Tip looked like they're out of the promotion race as well. And Waterford could win for them against London. Finally getting a win on the board. Delighted for Paul Shanky's men there. But Limerick's game next week is against Waterford at home in Rockhill probably. You would imagine Limerick will probably win that game. If they win that game, they're up. So for the long story short, Seamus, without discussing scores or anything like that, it's going to be a Wexford and Limerick Division 4 final.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I think Wexford will win that. We're going to switch over to the hurling now. And we have Kilkenny finally getting their win and a bit of retribution for the poor results that they've had, beating Limerick by 29 points to 20 in Nolan Park. This was a result that we probably didn't see coming. Very impressive, though, from Kilkenny.
Very good. And Mossy Keoghan getting 7 points in this game as well, 223 across the whole Alliance League from play as well. Very good displays from TJ coming back at he's been back for a few weeks now, but he's really come back in this game, scored 10 points, 5 in play. So very good display from him. John Donnelly came back in and did well as well from a Kilkenny point of view. Paddy Deegan, I know he got a red card late on, but did well, to be fair to him. And as for Limerick, look, it's a situation where maybe not reaching a league final is not necessarily a bad thing for Limerick, because you go into the Munster Championship in the next few weeks. You have the bulk of young talent coming through, the likes of Aidan O'Connor, Paddy O'Donovan, and you still have the likes of Garrod Hager to come back to full fitness. Tom Morrissey's gaining a few fitness things to come back as well. So yeah, it's a good thing for Limerick in a way that they're not making a league final, but as for Kilkenny, it's a brilliant win for them. Brilliant confidence booster before their Leinster Championship campaign kicks off. But the significance of the win is if Cork draw or win against Galway next week in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, they're up. And I think, Seamus, they'll beat Galway in all honesty. I think they will get to a league final against Tip, which should be a good game. Obviously, you have to beat Galway first, but I think Cork should beat it, or Cork and Tip should be a very good game in the league final. And obviously, it does mean as well with that result over the weekend, Wexford and Clare, their misery is sealed. They're going down to Division 1B, which means Clare will play the likes of down and then Kildare or Meath and probably Carlow as well. Like it's just it's
no. Say the truth. You're a Cork man.
I don't know. Especially with Adam Hogan dragging Hoggy around the place last week. You know what? I just it's good to see. I'll put it up.
Have a little.
Yeah.
No, but look, for Clare, the reality is being All-Ireland champions, the league doesn't give a shit if you're All-Ireland champions. That's absolutely true. Liam White here says, Matthew can't contain the excitement. But I think you look at it that way and you say, Clare came into this league All-Ireland champions and they started very slow, got a very, very good win against Limerick. Again, showed what they're capable of, reminded everybody what they're capable of. But they had an absolute shocker against Cork. Just for that game alone, you deserve to go down. You were so bad. You actually conceded 6 goals. So you deserve to go down based off. And I was like, as Zlatan Ibrahimovic said, the league table never lies. You are where you are. And Clare are where they are. They're a Division 1B team as well as being the All-Ireland champions, which is absolutely baffling. Believe me, speaking as a dub, who saw my team get relegated in 2022, just 2 years after being 6 in a row All-Ireland champions. It can bend the mind a bit, the Allianz Leagues. Jack Nulty says here, mixed league side, Kilkenny needed that win, but Kilkenny can never be written off. I absolutely agree, Jack. I wouldn't write Kilkenny off. I think Kilkenny probably front runners for the Leinster Championship, but that is also partly because the standard in Leinster isn't as high as the Munster Championship. I don't think Kilkenny would win the Munster Championship if they were in it. And then we had one game from 1B. Laois 29 points, Carlow 226 in O'Moore Park. So Laois, with this result, are relegated from 1B to Division 2A. Again, this one, Laois, compared to what they were 5 years ago, are definitely far away from that now.
Yeah, it's a horrendous result really for Laois, but maybe the whole season has been under par for them, and they're probably deservedly going to Division 2, and it's amazing actually they'll be playing the likes of, like, the Hurling League is a bit weird now next season because Laois will be playing the likes of London and either Wicklow or Mayo next year, and this is a team that beat Dublin in 2019. Take that what you will. That is a weird kind of set of events there, but yeah, it's a difficult result to take for Laois. As for Carlow, though, there is a scenario that Carlow actually, they could get promoted. Like, they have Westmeath next week. If they batter Westmeath, Waterford lose to Offaly, and Dublin beat Laois, there's a chance there that Carlow could actually go up, which will be mental, but it looks very unlikely.
Would want to help Carlow.
Yeah. Liam, if you're still here,
a bit of a
show your opinion, really.
Arsenal win the league.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, look, to be fair, even for Carlow to be in this position, though, Seamus, it's seriously, that's brilliant, to be fair to them, for Carlow Hurling. And they look in good fettle going to the Joe McDonagh Cup this year, no matter what happens next week. So a good result for Carlow, but for Laois, off they go to Division 2.
Yeah, no, look, it is sad because I think that's where the case is quite compelling in terms of expanding the Leinster Championship to get further teams, because there's just too much of a jump between the Joe McDonagh and competing in the Leinster Championship straight away. And I think Offaly, in my opinion, are the best equipped that I've seen in a while to really give it a go. But like you saw Laois, Westmeath come up and they would get a sensational win over, like Laois got the win over Dublin in 2019. Wexford were beaten by Westmeath, and you've had examples like that. Antrim as well were hugely competitive, but it's like it's such a jump that it's hard to get enough to survive. Carlow drew at Kilkenny, still went down, and it's like if you expanded it to 8 teams, something like that, you would give the likes of Laois, Westmeath, Offaly, Antrim more of an assurance that you're going to be able to build something more concrete at the level of a Leinster Championship and build on for the future. Because when Westmeath get relegated after fantastic work under Joe Fortune, and they put in literally 3, 4, 5 years of good work, and then it would feel like they're right back at square one. Yeah. Players leave the panel, and it's just, I'd say it's a real deflating feeling.
Yeah. Just as a side note, Seamus, so I put up this idea last year, and I still stick by this. Why not have 10 Leinster Championship teams that have a group of two groups of 5 teams?
It's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, so like you could have, like, in Seed 1, you could have Kilkenny Galway, Seed 2, Dublin Wexford, Seed 3, Offaly Antrim, Seed 4, Carlow Laois, I'm guessing. And then Seed 5, someone like a Down maybe.
Yeah.
Could come in. So, like, you could do a lot of things with the Leinster Championship, I think. That would probably be a good thing to build hurling, and you could have the top 2, the first place team in each group meeting the Leinster final. The bottom place team goes into a relegation playoff to go down to the Joe McDonagh then. And then second place, then the 2 second place teams play off in terms of who gets the third spot and gets into the All-Ireland series.
Yeah, no, that definitely would be a good shout, Matthew. Then roundup time to finish off the episode. So we had other games from across the weekend in different divisions and different codes. Sticking with hurling, first of all, In Division 2, Meath beat down by 230 to 421. Mad game there. In Division 3, Armagh beat Cavan away from home 221 to 215. And then switching to Camogie in Division 1B, Antrim beat down 116 to 12 points. Wexford hammered Westmeath 419 to 6 points. And Clare beat Limerick 313 to a goal and 10. So that's an hour and 25 minutes more or less in the books. Guys, I really enjoyed that episode. Matthew, thank you for jumping on for another one. Always a pleasure to have you on. And for the comments as well, guys. I loved all the engagement. Liam White, Jack Nulty, Luke, I don't have your second name, but Luke the Monaghan fan. Sean O'Malley, Patrick Cahill, Gaelic Guy 24, Acers, Nerb and TSB. Is there anyone else that I am forgetting? No, that is it. But guys, thank you so much for all the comments. You helped make the episode what it was. Always love when there's a lot of engagement on the channel. So that's another episode done. We'll be back here this time next week for another week review show. And I'm hoping to get a weekend preview show done this week as well. It's been hard, guys. It's been hard moving over to Galway and back to Dublin. It's very hard to get time available in the evenings, but I'm definitely going to try get one sorted this week. Matthew, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for anybody for watching. Until the next one, guys, here on Cluiche, enjoy your St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Agus Torah.